Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're not going to be cooking or baking. We are going to be doing some experiments with chemical reactions. And I will show you the equipment and the materials that you will need to try this out at home. You probably have these items at home. So luckily, I will show you a couple pictures of what we have, and then you can pause it and you can join me if you would like to. But first, I need to put on my protective gear. Ready? All right, I've got an apron on to protect my clothes. I got some glasses on in case I need some extra things to help me look. The first thing that you're going to need to find is baking soda. Baking soda is going to be our control, so we're going to use it for everything that we try for our experiment. And you're going to need a lot if you want to have a bigger chemical reaction. And the items that we are going to experiment with are lemon, orange, and lime. Now I got lime juice because I'm going to be using a lot of it. And I'm also going to need a juicer to extract the juice from the lemons and the oranges. I'm also going to need to cut our lemons and our oranges, so we also need a cutting board and a knife. That's when parents can come in, unless you have a child-safe knife. That would work best. You will also need some measuring tools for your substances. So I'm going to use this tablespoon for our baking soda, and then also some measuring for however much juice you would like to put into our experiment. Now here are the materials that we're going to use to measure our chemical reactions. So each of these I've marked. I used a ruler and I marked the inches so we can see how big or little the chemical reactions are. Now these are materials that you notice were from Little Owl, but you can use glass cups, or if you want to go big, like I'm going to go later, a big vase. But just make sure that you can see through it so that way you can see the actual chemical reactions. Now this is a smaller ice cube tray that you can try out. That might be something that you try out for a longer time. And here are some materials that you're going to need to keep track for your data collector. Just like Kaylee's nature collector, this is a data collector. So I'm using Sharpie, but you can use anything you would like to track our chemical reactions. So I'm using a ruler and these little tubes. So what I did was I measured the bottom, and then I marked on the tubes where it lined up with the ruler. And then on them, I was writing the numbers. So I wrote 1 on the bottom, 2, second line, 3, third line, 4, fourth line. And then I'm going to be using a cooking sheet underneath my materials to catch in case there's a little bit of an overflow, because that might happen. So I have my stuff set up. I'll show you my setup. So this is going to be our things that we measure, and let's get it going. You can pause it now to do it with me. All right, I cut up all my citrus. It's time to juice. Pause.
This is a great activity to work on fine and gross motor skills. This is something that we do with the children at Little Owl, is juicing fruit. Also, you can keep track of how many seeds that you might find in your fruit.
Whew, that was a workout. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tablespoon of baking soda in each of these 4.
Some things that you can talk about while you're doing this part of the experiment is how the texture of the baking soda feels. If it gets a little bit on the baking sheet, that's fine. One thing that's nice is baking soda is really easy to clean up. So at the end of this, cleanup will be a breeze. The other option is to take it outside, and then the mess is just outside. Other things that you can talk about is how much the baking soda lines up on your measuring tools. You can also put some on the side to test on a smaller scale. But we really want to see how the chemical reactions will look inside of a cylinder or cup. That's what makes a big difference.
So we have all of our stuff prepped, and we have our data collector that we need to write our data down. So the first thing we're actually going to try is water. The second thing we're going to try is lemon. Third thing, orange. Fourth thing, lime. Let's try this out. Okay, this is our first one. This is actually just water. So this is our water, 1 tablespoon of water. As you can see, it is starting to mix with the baking soda, and there are water bubbles. So this was 1 tablespoon of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of water, and you can see the baking soda has settled and the water has risen, and I want you to notice the line that it's at so we can mark it in our data collector. So I'm going to come over to my data collector and I'm going to write down number 2. That was 1 tablespoon of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of water. Let's see what happens with the lemon. So this is our lemon juice. Notice the color is yellow. And I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of lemon juice into the baking soda. Whoa! That's already so different than what happened in the water. Are you noticing what's happening? So there's definitely a chemical reaction because lemon juice is an acid and baking soda is a base. Let's see what it ends up being after the lemon juice settles with the baking soda. So something I want you to notice is also after the bubbles have come out, there's some liquid that came out onto my baking sheet. So some of that liquid escaped through gases out of the test tube on to the baking sheet. And it's still bubbling. And it's going down and down. And I know you can't smell this video, but it smells pretty good. It smells very lemony. So it's still going. We're still noticing that there are still bubbles a little bit, but the majority of the chemical reaction has already been done. So I want you to notice that where it's ending up is halfway between the 1 and the 2. I think the 1 kind of rubbed off, so sorry about that. So we're gonna need to go to our data collector. And we're gonna write 1.5. Or you can write 1.5. That also stands for 1.5. All right, let's try the orange now. Okay, my orange juice, I want you to notice it's very orange. I'm gonna pour a little bit, my tablespoon of orange juice into my baking soda. Let's see. Different chemical reaction. The bubbles are a little bit tinier. I want you to notice that the liquid is rising above the 2, but it's still having a chemical reaction down below. So let's just see what happens. The bubbles didn't go over the top like the lemon juice did, but I am noticing a lot tinier bubbles, and I'm also noticing not as big of bubbles coming or going down. So let's just see what happens. So what I am noticing as things are starting to move, there's color. showing up a little bit lower. And the bubbles are starting to pop. That's changing what this liquid looks like inside. And I've noticed the line has gone down a little bit because it was at the halfway point between the 3 and the 2. So now it's starting to sink a little bit. I don't know if you could see the bubbles are also starting to slowly drop down. So we're going to give this a little bit longer just to see where we end up on our number. Well, I've let it sit a little bit, and I want you to notice where the line of the liquid is. It's just a little bit above the 2. And it's still making its way down, but we're still seeing bubbles rise. So I think we can come over to our data collector at this point. It's been about the same time for all 3. We're going to come over to our data collector and we're going to write down the number 2. Okay, this is our 4th experiment. We have our lime juice. I'm going to pour it in the tablespoon. I'm noticing that it is kind of a green color, greenish yellow. And I'm gonna pour it in, let's see what happens. Whoa, just like the lemon, big chemical reaction, lots and lots of bubbles on this one. And I want you to see that the bubbles are still spilling out, a lot more bubbles than the lemon. And the liquid is just below the 2. It's working its way through the baking soda a lot faster than the other 3. But let's see where the liquid line ends up after a little bit. So we let it sit for a little bit, and I want you to notice it's about equal to the lemon and baking soda mixture. So we're going to come over to our data collector, and we notice that it's halfway between the 1 and the 2. So just like the other time with the lemon, you write 1 and 1/2 or 1.5. Now, this is the part where you're going to be the experiment. We're going to take a taste test of the water, the lemon juice, the orange juice, and the lime juice, and see what your reactions are. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of water. Tastes like water. Pretty bland. Let's move on to the lemon juice. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Ooh. Very tart, but not terrible. Pretty good. I kind of like lemon juice. Okay, let's try the orange juice. 1 tablespoon orange juice. It's actually very sweet, so that might explain the chemical reaction not having so much bubbles come out, but staying equidistant with the baking soda. All right, now lime juice. Ooh. Okay, ready? Ooh! is very tart. So, I'm wondering what your reactions to those chemicals will look like. So for your reaction, I actually made a line and I marked sweet and sour. And then neutral is kind of in the middle. So neutral, I'm gonna put a little arrow and I'm gonna write water. Because that one was the least sour and the least sweet. Now the sweet side, I definitely will mark orange. Now the lemon was a little bit sour, so I'm gonna put it halfway. And the lime was definitely sour. So that is what my reaction looks like. I'm wondering what yours will look like. You can also use these faces. So if you had no reaction, you can mark it with a face, see where your face lines up. If you liked it and if you like more sweet, you can also use a happy face. Or if it made you, you can also make this kind of face. Or I'm wondering what kind of faces you can come up with for your reaction. All right, so for the big finale, we're going to use the vase, and I added something special for a special effect in the bottom. And we're gonna use 1 full cup of baking soda, and then a 1/2 cup of lime juice, a 1/2 cup orange juice, and a 1/2 cup lemon juice. And I'm gonna combine them all. So I'm gonna combine the orange juice and the lemon juice to make a full cup, and then the lime juice into the lemon and orange. And we're gonna take it outside because I have a feeling it's going to be pretty cool.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this.
Well, that was exciting. What we learned today were citrus are part of the acids family. So all the citrus fruit that we squeezed today, the lemon, the orange, and the lime, are all acidic. And they react with the baking soda, which is the base. And here's the data we collected. Another item that you might be able to find in your kitchen or in your refrigerator are vinegars. Vinegar is also part of the acid family, and they react pretty well with baking soda, so that might be something that you can experiment with in your household as well. Good luck with your experiments, and let me know how it goes. Maybe you find something new that I haven't tried out.